Hello everyone, this is Julie from August Birdsong, and today I'm just working in my medieval garden book, and I thought I'd let you see just kind of my process with putting this together. And an earlier video had a flip through of this. If you haven't seen it, it's not finished, so I'll be going through it at different times. But I thought I'd just show you kind of where it's at the moment and how I'm piecing it together. Now, this is a page that's I just finished, and it is built on, let me grab it, one of these, which are these old dividers from an older Better Homes and Gardens, 3-ring, or actually this was a 5-ring binder. And that particular one I used for a different project, but I had all these left over. And they're heavy. They're like as heavy as cardstock, maybe a little bit heavier even. And if you even look here, you can see some of the yellow that was, the top of that. Notice I did cut off the tabs. You could keep those on and use them in some way. I've debated that, but ended up deciding I preferred the look of the page without the tab. So this one, this side, I decorated with these different papers in the background and just one of my Audubon birds. These flowers I mounted on the little, let me grab them, these little sticky squares. I just used the small ones, but each flower I kind of tried to get central areas so it would balance and hold it right. And the same thing down here. And then I could have done this before it. I actually did it after it. I had stuck it down. I just used a tool to kind of push some of this cheesecloth up, just little bits, kind of tuck it under. And then I just added just a little glue, like right on the edge there, just to hold it, but it can still have some movement to it. And that's what I did here. And that just adds, well, he's coming out a little there, but that's just adding some texture and dimension. And I lifted the flowers again, just to kind of help you feel like you're looking back at the bird. He's sort of tucked back in the branch, peering out at you. And he's behind some things. And if you look close, he's even eating a little bug here and all. These are Scrapman dies. I've talked about them before, and these are just the die cuts from a set that's, I think it's called Hinges. I purchased my Scrapman dies from the Frantic Stamper online, and that's where I got them. You can also find them on Amazon, but I've found they're actually more expensive there. So they're made in Russia, and I don't think you can find them at a lot of places yet. So I was happy to get them. Now, plenty of other die sets have versions of Hinges. So, what I liked about this was not necessarily to make it look just like it's the hinge of the book. I like this, doing this in black. It's just neutral, and it picks up colors like in this part of the bird and the feathers here and in the tail. And it just kind of helps unite that, the whole piece just with that neutral color, because this does have a lot going on collaged in the background. So this is from the same set. It's just a keyhole. And then here's another one just like that one. And then what I do, once they're glued down, I just add the distress, or not distress, the, what do you call them? Perfect pearls or stickles, those things. I also added some to the center of these flowers. And these are flowers that came from Dreams, etc. Dreams is with a Z, not an S. Um, and I think it's Jen Bishop. I think that's her shop. And anyways, she makes products for, I think it's Blue Fern Studio. But anyways, if you go to her, just her .com site, you can download different kits. And this is just a flower kit. I don't remember off the top of my head which one, but they're real good. You know, especially if you put them on cardstock, they're real sturdy for doing this kind of thing. So this side is a little wet because I just put the Perfect Pearls on. And then this side I was working on yesterday. And this is an image from Mrs. Cog's Crafts. And this is, I'm trying to think, you know what? It might be Far Mirage, actually. Mrs. Cog has images also that I'm going to show you today, but I'm thinking this actually might be from a collection called Beautiful Women on Etsy at Far Mirage. I'm thinking that's actually where that one was from. But you'll see some more Mrs. Cog here in a minute. And with this one, what I tried to do is I want you to sort of look into her. And so just like the bird, she's sort of tucked back. And you know, I after I'd done the initial collaging, I built up some flowers and leaves around her. And these came just from, I've mentioned before, I use things like coloring books, and I use the real, you know, the colored versions. I don't actually color them myself. And what's a good strategy is sometimes, you know, with these big flowers, for one thing, I would probably cut the flower in half to use it somewhere. But sometimes if the leaf is just what I'm sort of looking for, I'll just fussy cut the leaf out and save the flower for later, and then work the leaf in with whatever the background is I'm trying to kind of layer up. And that's exactly what happened with this one. This is a bigger leaf, something sort of like this, and I cut it down in a few different places just so I could get the shape of it to fit with this frame, you know, sort of framed like picture. This is a flower that was also, I think, from this book of flowers, and I ended up cutting it in half to make it fit right. And I wanted it at each corner, kind of, again, reinforcing a sense of framing her. And then these are some roses, again, from Dreams, etc. that this one was one rose that I just cut in half. And I do this a lot. I'll make them be kind of on the border as though they're moving into the picture, and to kind of help get, you know, that balance. This is just a little fussy cut bird from a Red Lead Paperworks collage sheet. And again, there's a little bit of the Scrapman dies on this. And I just added this quote here from Poppiness on Etsy. Between the shadows of the earth and the dark depths of the sky, human life lay slumbering with all its unsolved puzzles. Theodore Storm. And I had just punched those corners on it. And I'm looking at this picture thinking it's winter time. And, you know, she has these furs on with her gown, and she's looking out at the cold world. And at the same time she's looking at that, she's, you know, her heart is kind of amidst the flowers and the beauty of nature, even with the cold outside. And I think she's a queen or a princess, maybe somewhere in, like Eastern Europe, somewhere at that time. And if you can see it, I did add some real tiny little perfect pearls to her headdress and what I would think were like buttons on her gown, as well as just stitching on a little sari silk. And then the papers in the background pretty much are all medieval Mirage, I believe, just different sets. And so you can see it kind of built in here. This is a page I simply tore in half and then added to each corner. And then I just built up a little bit that was in the center of the page. I put it in there. And then these two pieces were from another set, but those are Medieval Mirage as well. And I've used a lot of that in this particular kit. So for today, I'm gonna first kind of just do some work in the book where I have already kind of decided on some images and they just need to be mounted. And I wanted to show you, put this to dry. I wanted to show you how I create a pocket. Here is one that I put in already, and it's a delicate book because the pages are old book pages. So I wouldn't put this in as something that's going to have a lot of things put into it. If that was the case, I would have either built it up a little higher or maybe made it smaller but deeper. So this is just a little place to tuck maybe just a few kind of thin cards. It's stitched, and then there are hinges in the back, and that's what I'm going to show you in the back of this book, because this is another one. If you've seen my earlier videos with this particular binder, sorry, I'm just moving things to get them out of the way. If you've seen some of those earlier videos, then you've seen this little picture before. And for some reason, she kind of reminds me of my image of a young Elizabeth I or someone like that. And the beautiful gown. She is in the painting, she's chasing, it's like a little fairy. And I ended up cutting that off to it was getting just too big to even fit in here. And so it looks like a rose. I think that was actually the fairy's gown. And then here it just fit in with the trellis and the roses. So how I am going to go about doing this, you turn it over. This is just the back of a book page that it's mounted on. But I want it to have some depth. If I glue it just flat here at those three areas, you can tuck something, but it'll be tighter. And then that's sort of a strain on the pocket. So what I like to do is, I've talked about before the scraps that, when you cut up the digital printables, there's usually in the margins, you're cutting that out. And instead of throwing them away, I stamp things on these to use in my art. But I also use them for things like this. And this is a good size. If you can see my table here, it's almost an inch in width. So I'm going to be folding it. And so that's, almost a ½ inch that's going to be bent to fit this. So here's what I'm going to do with this one. It doesn't have to totally come up real high. I'm just going to kind of mark it for that. And then this one will kind of be just right if I cut this in half right there, or at least right for it. That will work for that. This will work for that section. And I'll use this other piece, and I'm just going to eyeball it and cut that section there. Okay, and so that'll be for that part. And let me just get my scoreboard, and this is the mini scoreboard. This is Martha Stewart, actually. This one I've had for a while. And for most of the stuff that I am working on, this is just right. Okay, so here, see, it really is about just like one little peg here short of 1 inch. So I'm going to just mark it at the 1/2 inch and score this. And that's for the end there. And then this one as well. And then this one. Okay. And you can do this way for any of the size pockets you want to put in. But here's what you need to do next before you just glue it down. Because if you just glue it underneath here, you would be putting it that way. But this edge is gonna kind of get in the way. So what I always do at this point is cut, roughly, what is that? I don't know. Half an inch, 1/4 of an inch, depending on the pocket size. And I want the mouth of it facing in when I glue it back here. Because then this part's going to be glued on that, and it allows for whatever you're going to put in there. If you did it this way, it's making the pocket smaller, and it wouldn't be a big deal, but if you're looking to maximize your space, especially with smaller pockets, have the mouth facing into the back of the pocket. Okay, so for this one here, let me just get my glue stick, and I'm just gonna spread this on. I could have made this ahead of stitching the pocket and kind of worked that into the stitching too, just to make it stronger. I don't want it too close to the edge. You won't really see it, but just to be sure. There you go. And so there is the first part of it that'll be going in. Okay. And so now here's the long one. And again, this is why I cut that angle, because now it won't interfere with this side or this side, or down there when I get to that section. So again, I don't usually take a lot of time to measure things. I just sort of eyeball it. And sometimes let's see, no, this is the bottom one. Always check. I've done this before where I put it on the wrong part of the pocket and actually closed it off. So here, this is going down here. And so I'm just going to add my glue to that as well. And then just reinforcing it down. And then, so there's the top. I'm on my last side here. Put the mouth going in. And I'm just gonna I'm going to use actually a stronger glue when I put it on the fabric. This, with just it being the old book page, wasn't too big a deal. It can handle the glue stick, which is strong, but I think for the fabric, I am probably going to use my Fabri-Tac. And here I'm just sort of measuring where I want it on here before I actually glue it. So for this part then, and this particular bottle is almost out, so we'll see how much I can get out of it. But it is a little bit more expensive glue, so I try not to waste it, although sometimes when it gets really low, it just sort of solidifies in the bottom, and you can see there's still glue there, but it's just like a solid mass. So, try to use it up. So in some ways it's good to buy the smaller bottle of this because it can just totally, just sort of like honey. Honey sometimes will solidify and crystallize if it's like a big jar and you haven't used it up a lot. So here, think. Now with this, what I'll often do, I have like metal clamps, that I can use if I want, and just kind of hold that to the page for a bit. So that's one way. I can also, I think I'm going to put him there because I can't get a clamp on it. And then just come in just for that glue to really set in. All right. But at the same time, I take like a pencil or something about the size of a pencil and just kind of run under there to be sure, that it's still maintaining that opening. So I'll move that one aside for a minute or two to dry and pull out something else. And here are just some quotes. I have all the little scraps and things I want to use in this pretty close to me here. And, it might just be easier to, I think, let me show you this one here. Here was a pre-made page that I did this months ago. I hadn't started this book of collage or anything. And it was just, just what you see here. And it was just, again, this is Medieval Mirage. This is from a digital kit by Mrs. Cog, these women. She's from a digital kit. This is a little bird from Red Lead Paperworks collage sheet. And these two little pieces are from Roxy Creations in one of her ephemera kits, I think. Well, this is a doily, and then this is from an ephemera kit. But again, what brought these things all together, even though they're all different kits, is I was looking at the colors. And so I knew I wanted to use her. And so I wanted to pick up a little bit of the pink and white of the flowers and that cornflower blue. And of course, my birds, I'm always looking at that. So that's kind of what is my drive when using all different resources, but trying to bring totally different creations into one collage. This piece wasn't as many different things put together. This one's mainly Medieval Mirage, and then the picture of the lady there, the two ladies, and they're like, walking through the shopping area. Now I've been debating if I wanted to keep them or if I wanted to add a different one. I suppose I'll probably go with that one for now. But here is another page, and that needs a focal point, as well as here I have a few others that I made again a long time ago. And this one is a little tuck. And so you can see, you could even just tuck an image in there. And there's nothing on the back of that. If I wanted to make it a nicer little tag, I'll put either a blank piece like that could be journaled on that, or I could even just put some thin fabric like muslin just to hold that. And so here are some things I can work with. This is actually from Tim Holtz. It's like his rice paper or his rolled tissue papers, I think is what he calls them, these birds here. But then I put them down, it's just decoupaged with glue. I put them down against some scraps of paper I had with Medieval Mirage. So I could do something with that, and that's just plain on the back there. Here's another pocket, again, a lot of Medieval Mirage, and it can again get something tucked in there. So that's something to think about. And let's see, any others? And then this one, I think I might do, I certainly could use any of my pictures, but I might do something with adding the birds, more of some of the little birds and flowers into the cover of that page. And these pages can be added on the edges of these pages. So here, if you look at the way I made this page and many others in here, this is the page that was the divider, the yellow divider. This is just a little flip page that I made out of, this one's a little sturdier. I might have used like, those kind of sturdy advertisements that you get in the mail, and they're like a heavy duty cardstock. Well, I'll take those and just collage over them. It's about that size. And then just collaged it. And then I just added a strip of muslin here. I like the fringe, and you just glue it, add the muslin there, glue along the page there, add the push down the muslin there, glued to it, and then it flips out. Okay, and by doing it that way, it doesn't interfere with the binder rings or anything. And, again, your book can continue on with more flip ups and flip outs and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead so I can get in the book. My glue wants to escape there. I'm going to take these off. That should be pretty good at this point. And let's just check it right there. So you can see it has a little bit of lift down here. There's a little lift there. I might just add, this is lift that I don't want. I want to be sure that the page is secured there. So I'm just going to add a little more glue there just to keep that corner down. Okay, but that's all ready for anything I want to put in it. So let me just grab a few options. And you can always change your mind down the road. But, that could get put in there. This one is another big one that would take up most of the page. It's just blank on the back. And I could add more book page to just thicken it up. But, maybe I'll just put that there for now because she looks kind of nice peeking out there. And so there you have that pocket. I could add some hinge work, like with my little black hinges here if I want. And I don't need to do that part now unless I really want to kind of finish this pocket totally. What I find is I continue to come back to things. And so, I could do something with that or, something along those lines. Just to, add further embellishment. I don't want to cover up the pretty flowers, but that's a thought. And so if I want to remember, excuse me, I have asthma, and so sometimes I have a frog in my throat. Sometimes I might just paper clip that on there if I'm thinking about it but haven't decided yet for sure. So I'll just paper clip that and come back to it at another time and reevaluate if I want to use something with that. Maybe I won't use this piece, but it'll remind me to go look at my other options for embellishing that. All right. And because I got that all opened up there, let's just go ahead. and find a page that we might want to add a flip to. So here we have the bird here, sort of what, a quail or something. I could add one there. A lot of these already have flips on them. And I think since I showed this to you, I had changed this. I added here just an image from Mrs. Coggs Crafts. I think it's like a medieval set is what it's called, but that's from her crafts. I have my pocket here with this card in it. I added the muslin fringe here to both of those as well. And this is orange sari silk. I added some here as well. And that just goes there. And then this is a flip up with a quote. But for the most part, that page is pretty under control. Let's see what's here. Now, before I do something with that other page, here is a scene, kind of like maybe the queen taking a walk. And there's some of her advisors in the background there. And I thought it just sort of filled that space nicely. So I think I'm going to just kind of just put that down. If I want a little texture or something more added to it, I could maybe consider using something like this is some sari silk. It would pick up the yellow in the flower there. And up here, I have this tag that I stenciled using a stencil from stencilgirlsproducts.com. And it has a stamp on the back from Red Lead Paperworks, but it has that yellow. So maybe, I like adding something like this because it's very regal. And the silkiness, again, it speaks to luxury. It also picks up kind of the fall leaves in the background and goes along with the other things on the page. So what I think I'll do with this one is for that part, I think I will just use my glue stick on that. This is a strong hold, and that sari silk I think is gonna do fine with it. And I like it that the sari silk is sort of ragged and strands on it. It's just, again, kind of helps create that sense of sort of grunge and age with it and texture. Okay, so that one's real simple. And now I'm just gonna glue it down. It's not gonna be a pocket. This is a pocket up here. I'm just gonna glue all the sides of it. And a heavier glue. I just used up my tacky glue, just the general tacky glue. And I need to get another one. So I'm just going to use this. Plus this bottle is ready to get used up. And right about there, I think. Let me just tip it. I'm trying to see if it's pretty straight across, and it's looking good. Okay. So at this point, that's probably all I want to do today with this page. And this is all pretty pulled together, so that may be pretty done. Now here, it's up to you if you want all the strands hanging off. I don't mind it unless they start to become a distraction. But there we have that page. We'll take that bit. Okay. And if we move then over to this side, we have this. I may go in with some perfect pearls or stickles and just add to the dots in the butterfly. And also up here, I might just do that right now, actually. And I think with the the butterfly. Oh, there went that lid. I'm just testing it because sometimes these things put out a big glob. They're either stuck or they put out something bigger than what you want. So I often test them on the side on some paper, scrap paper or something, my inking thing. And here I'm just going over it with the black and just the dots that were already there in the first place. And that'll just add, again, just to pick up the light a little, just elevates the look of it a little bit. I'm not even really squeezing. This one is pretty new, and so the little paint is just coming out very easily. It's more than ready to be used on this. And there you go. I think I'll just use the black for that. And, well, I'm going to have to find the lid for him later. So I'll put him off to the side where he won't make a mess. And then up in this area, or even these 3 dots here, I think I'm going to use, I have, this is Liquid Pearls Brass. And one place I like to add these little accents to, and see, he's going to be stuck. I'm going to take I keep my paper clips that I use for this right in the bottle with the perfect pearls and stickles, and then I can always find them, and just gently till there you go. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make him a little bigger. And I like to add accents to the background where, like here, there's some, just like on that butterfly, some natural circles or elements that just lend themselves nicely to adding a little dot. And if there aren't any of those little areas, I just make them. I put the dots down where I want them. I try to have it look very random though. And it's mainly just to kind of catch the eye, draw the eye in. In this case, maybe to make the page look a little richer. This is sort of regal. Maybe she's a princess. Over in this area, I'm just looking through it. I could put a little bit on the blue paper here. And see these little flourishes? They're kind of just natural little places that work pretty good. Now right here, there aren't any. I'm just going to put an odd number. I'm going to do 5. Remember, our eye is drawn to odd numbered things. It likes odd numbers better than even numbers for this kind of thing. It gives it a more random look and not so much of a planned pattern on it. Here are just a few little dots. Musical notes, like right here, are kind of a fun place to add some of the decorative accents. I also often like to put them kind of almost like the corners of, if it's a box or a stamp or something like this, kind of enclose it. And I'm just I don't want it overwhelmed with it, but I just want it to kind of guide the eye down. So I'll leave this area free and leave that area free. And now that page will need to dry for a few minutes. And so I think we'll move on. Now I think just open it and it's going to dry. So maybe it's not touching anything, so that'll dry right there. Maybe we'll kind of work on this page. And for this one, let me look at a few choices here. I have some different pictures. You saw this one earlier. That would be nice. I just think of this as auditioning. And this is just sort of a still life. It would pick up the browns nice if you think of what else is there. So if you just want sort of a neutral subject, that might be nice. Okay. Here's one that maybe it's not quite medieval. It's this is a Vermeer. But what I like is that the blue sort of picks up some of the other blues. So that size picture works really nice. I think something like that is just too small for the page. Here's another one. I think this is from Far Mirage also. And that would work. I would want to build up some things around it in the collage work. Here's this one from before that we saw. And here it's got the icy dungeon. And if you watched my other video, I said it kind of reminds me of spring awakening. And so it says an icy dungeon changed at last. And over on this part, I do have a winter scene and kind of winter colors. So that might work. But at the same time, I kind of wonder if it's too light of a picture for this background. So let me just look back at the things I was thinking of. I don't know that this goes, I think he'll go better on another page. Or it will go better. I have a tendency to call things him or his or hers, that kind of thing. It's silly. But anyways, and see, this blue also kind of picks that up. So that's that one, and there's some blue right down in this as well. So that one might be the choice. This one's very brown. It works. But I think I might go with that one and give that a try. And so we'll build it up. Something like I built up the page, this page, with some things around it. And so that's what we'll do next. Before I tack it down, let's just go ahead, and I have something else on the other side with that paper clip there. Let me go ahead and pull some potential flowers. I have a box that I bought at, well, with the camera you can't see it too well, but it's 4 tiers, and it has those rings, or like kind of punch rings, and you can pull it apart each section. And I keep a lot of my smaller fussy cut, like this is flowers and a few other embellishments like that. And I have another one that I keep like my birds in and so forth. And then this is what clicks onto the top one. But so it's nice. I bought it at Joann's. You can probably find something similar in other craft stores or on Amazon. Now, this is a big flower. I wouldn't use it just as it is. But, just to, I'm going to take that one out. Just to kind of give you an idea of what I think about as I put these in. I'm sort of, because we do have the dark background, but maybe that's too dark. Now here I have, these are some kind of cornflower blue flowers from, I'm pretty sure this is from a kit by My Porch Prints. She has like a fussy cut flowers package. I kind of like that. Now I could use some of this along with that if I want, just to add, just a neutral to it. And then I have, a lot of other things in here too. I think this is too light because the background is more light, so it needs kind of a deeper background to it. Here I have something like the cherries, but I don't know that that really goes with it. I think we'll try working with this and start with that. So let me just move this out of the way. But I am looking for, again, leaves. And so I may end up sort of fussy cutting. Might just cut these ones for the time being out of that flower. And then it still leaves me one leaf with this. And this is a big flower, so I'd probably end up just using it sort of like that, or it would have to be a bigger page. But I'm going to take these, and I think for the sake of this, I'm just this page kind of working. I'm going to cut off the stem, and just looking at how this is going to work here. Thinking sort of like that. But I maybe don't need to use all of them in that one part. What I could do is sort of cut it apart there, like right there, and then use another part of it down here, and possibly, work, I'm going to just move that out for the time being, work that leaf in with it. So I think that's kind of where I'm headed with this. I'll keep the black flower there, the chrysanthemum, in case I decide it. But I'm going to just cut it apart. And since this is a digital, I can always print off another one if I change my mind and, end up using it differently. So we could go sort of like that. Kind of like it. This space here is more plain, so it's kind of nice having it there. And then here's this flower in the background, if you can see it down here. Let me get this where you guys can see it better. There's so much stuff. It makes it fun, but sometimes it's hard to know where to go with it all. Let's put that back there off camera. Okay, just looking at my picture here. And I don't want to lose that because that really looks nice on there. Maybe I even cut this down more. And I'm just kind of wiggling it so I get a bit of a scalloped edge. Here I have that now. I could tuck it under. I could kind of tuck it on top even, something like that. If I did that, I would just ink it a little bit so those lines are a little more, not so rough looking, and kind of the cover to it as well. So something like that. I also have this one, which potentially could be used there as well. I don't think there's enough room on the page really for that one, so I'll put that one back. This one can go up there. I'm just going to use some vintage photo just to really get it inked down. Okay. Could also be sort of like that. If you wanted it kind of like that. Okay, and then we have these leaves. I'm gonna just cut that one apart from it. And now I'm just cutting off the excess. It really doesn't matter even, because this is going to end up getting tucked under the picture to a certain extent. Okay. Something like that. And then here, I'm not going to worry about that rough edge because that's going to be tucked under. And, or I can always cut it off if I need to later. Or even have him up, but have that covering it. I could even use dimensional stickers if I wanted with that. See how that's coming together there. So that's a good start. I think I will put the black flowers back. I don't think I'm going to use those. With this now, I think I will at least glue that one down. I'm just going to pull this back a little. And for these, the leaves, I'm going to just use my glue stick again. Should be enough. This is pretty thin cardstock. It's, let me get my, I got a thing of glue stuck on it. Kind of making a mess of everything here, but I'm going to just work it in there. And before I totally seal it, I think that'll work. That can go there. And for this one, I'm going to try something I have done before. I'm just going to make a slit and just ink it. I don't know that I'm going to want it that way. I think I need to cut it in a little bit more, but maybe just to bring a little more dimension on there. So here, just cutting that part off, inking it again. That one will